Hello everyone and welcome to Orca Scan. I'm Antonio and today I'm going to show you how to set up a lead capture solution. This is for people that are hosting an event. So you're an event organizer and what you need to do is create QR codes, send them out to the attendees, and then set up the exhibitor with a scanning device or a scanning software. So if that's your use case today, I'll show you how to get this all set up. Now, if you're steps ahead, so maybe you already have your QR codes for your attendees, maybe you've already sent the QR codes out as well, and all you need to do is just set up the scanning capability for your users, then you're still in the right place, whether you're starting from scratch or whether you have all your data and you're just ready to plug and play. All right, so let's get started. So this video is broken down into three sections. So the first one is importing your data, your attendee data. If you don't have that, that's okay. I'll teach you how to get it. And then the next part of the video is sending your QR codes out to the attendees. And then the third and final part of the video is setting up a sheet for your exhibitor, or if you have multiple exhibitors, you'll set up multiple sheets. That way they can get logged into the mobile app and start scanning. All right, so let's dive right in. So the first thing you're going to want to do is import your data. To do that, log into the web app. Just visit orcascan.com and get logged in. And while you're at it, just download the Orca Scan mobile app, whether it's an iPhone or an Android device. Just visit the App Store, download our app. That way you can see how the mobile app interacts with the web app. And that way you can get a sense of what this looks like or what it will look like for your exhibitor. All right, so let's get started. If you're a new user, this is the screen you'll see. Go ahead and name your sheet anything that you'd like and then select the lead capture template. Now this sheet, I typically like to call it the master sheet, and you'll see why. It's because the other sheets that are set up for each exhibitor, those sheets will reference data from the master sheet. So that's why I'm naming it that, and you'll see how this all comes together in this video. Okay, so this is the master sheet, and then you can select the lead capture solution. Really, you can select any template. And the reason why is because either way, these columns here are customizable. So regardless of what template you select, you can still import your data and delete any unnecessary columns. All right, so let's get started. So this is the master sheet here. And as you can see, the layout is very similar to Excel in that you have columns and rows. So that's the good thing, is that the web app is very familiar in that sense. And the first thing you want to do is import your data. So top left corner, there's an import button. So I'll select that. And then if you look at the file here, this is what it looks like. This is what you want your file to look like as well. It's an Excel format. I've removed all formatting. It looks clean. I've removed any unnecessary columns. And then as you can see here, I only have one tab in the Excel file, which is the one I'm going to import. If you have multiple tabs, you can delete the unnecessary ones or just move the tab that you want to import to the very front. And then you want to make sure that your barcode column, which is column A in this case, is actually named barcode. So right now it's named badge ID, which is accurate, but in order for this to import correctly, there needs to be a barcode column. So that's why I'm renaming it to that. And then these barcodes here, I already have them generated. If you don't have any barcodes, so if your file looks like this, that's perfectly fine. What's going to happen is that when you import this file, Orca Scan will generate a barcode for each person, and then you can send that barcode to the appropriate attendee. So again, you can import it with barcodes like this, or without barcodes like that. And then after this, we'll send the barcodes out to the attendees. All right, so this looks good. I'll save that, and then I'll select the file. There are two options under action: replace existing rows or add to existing rows. In this case, it's a brand new sheet, so it doesn't matter which one I select, but do be careful so you don't accidentally delete data if you already have data on your sheet. All right, so the data is in here. The only thing you should do next is delete any unnecessary columns. You can technically leave them there, that's fine. The solution will still work, but I like to keep things clean, organized, and simple. So I'll go ahead and do that. To do that, you can right click on the column and select the delete option. Now, remember, the template is fully customizable. You can add a new column or edit the current one. In this case, though, it's just the master sheet. It's just a bare bones sheet with data. That's the purpose of the master sheet. So I'm not going to add any columns now. I'll add more columns later on for the exhibitor when I set up their template. Okay, so I'll delete any of these columns that I don't need. And that looks better. It's just my data in Orca Scan, and now I can go on to the next step. If you have your data and you're ready to go on to the next step, then feel free to fast forward the video to the next part where we send the QR codes to the attendees. If you need to gather your data, stay tuned for a minute or two. I will teach you how to get it so people can fill a form and then you can have their data for the event. And to do that, the first thing you'll do is add any relevant columns. So for example, name, last name, company name, etc. Remember to do that, just right click a column, select add. Let's say you want to capture their email. You'll type in email. The data type will be text. You can also use other data types like a drop-down list. It's fully customizable. This form is going to be fully customizable. So the data type just tells the field how to behave, whether it's just accepting text, whether it's a drop-down list, etc. And then these toggles here dictate how the fields will behave in the form. For example, do you want to require this field so people don't accidentally forget to fill it out? If so, just turn on required. And that's the only useful one here mainly, but you could hide something if needed as well. Right below the title, there's a descriptor of what that toggle does when you turn it on. So feel free to look at them, but again, the required one is the most useful one. All right, so now let's say you have all your columns in here. You want to capture the person's name, last name, etc. So now what you're going to do, and before I do this, you want to right click your barcode column and make sure that hidden in mobile is turned on. The reason why is because when someone fills the form, you want Orca Scan to automatically generate a barcode for that person in the background. And that's how you do it, is by turning this on and then clicking save. Okay, now that you have your columns on there, you've done that with the barcode column, what you do is you click on the paper plane icon, bottom left corner. You'll turn on this toggle here to allow anonymous data entry. And then you can copy the link, share it with anyone, or you can print the QR code. People could scan it with their cell phone and then fill out the form on their cell phone. Okay, just make sure to click save. So that link I copied leads me to a form. And the fields are the columns that I add, okay? So anytime somebody fills this form, their information will go to your master sheet, and then that person will have a barcode automatically assigned to them. So I'm gonna show you an example here. And as soon as they click done, their information goes here to the master sheet. It's already there on the cloud. You just need to click refresh to visually see it. So there it is. And that's how you get the information for the attendees through Orca Forms. Now, the next step of the video is me showing you how to send those barcodes out to the attendees. When sending the barcodes to the attendees, there are two ways to do it. There's a manual way, and then there's an automatic way. Typically, the automatic way is preferred, but very quickly with the manual way, once you have all your attendee information in here, you can actually print the barcodes or download them and then distribute them. So when you have your barcodes in here, you can highlight them, the ones that you want to download or print, open the labels tab on the left-hand side, and then just click print or download. Before you do that, you could customize your barcode a little bit more. You could select a different barcode type, for example. I highly recommend the QR code. It's the easiest to scan, especially when you're using a camera on a device. But there are 3 dots beside each of these labels. And when you click on those 3 dots, you can configure the barcode or customize it. So if I click configure, for example, I can put a label underneath the barcode. For example, I want the value on the label to display the name of the person. So now it says Olivia, and it'll be the case for all of your barcodes. Okay, so that's very simple. If you want to customize it further, you can either click create new label here, or click on the 3 dots beside the label and then select duplicates. Now on here, this is the barcode label designer, so you can fully customize this. If you want to add a company logo, click on image there. You can resize anything here on the label. You can even put your custom label size on the left-hand side here in millimeters or inches. And then if you wanted to, you can put the person's first name and last name. For the last name, you can just drag it from the right-hand side to the label and then make it bigger and change the font, things of that sort. All right, so pretty straightforward, but the idea is that you can then print that, send it to another software, download it, it's up to you. Just highlight the barcodes, customize them if needed, and then click print or download. Okay, the more automatic way. To do this, well, first off, you can use a tool that you like. Any third-party app can do the trick. As long as the barcode value is transferred onto a QR code and then you distribute the QR code to each person accurately, then you're good to go. You can use any tool that you want, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that the barcode values you do distribute with the QR codes, regardless of the tool you use, are actually in your database here. Okay, so let me show you the tool that I use. I use a tool called Document Studio. Now, we don't endorse this company. We're not affiliated with them. It's just a tool that I personally like. So to get started, you'll download this tool. You have to be on Google Chrome. And then when you install it, it'll ask you for permissions under your Google account so it can send emails as you. If you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. You can always use another tool. I just want to show the people that need a tool this specific one so they can use it if needed. It's readily available. But anyways, it's free to use. So you install that, you give it the permissions to your Google account, and then you go over here to Google Sheets. In Google Sheets, you'll import your data that you imported into Orca Scan. So this is what I did. I just put 1 row in here. I don't want to send a bunch of emails out, just one for the sake of this demo. But what you could do is you could export it from Orca Scan and then just import it here. And then everything will transfer over. And then after you import your data, what this tool is going to do is that it's going to send all of these emails, whether you have 50, 100, 200, it's going to send all of these emails a QR code that they can use at the exhibition so that the exhibitor can scan their barcode, the attendee's barcode, and so the exhibitor can reach out to them later. Okay, so to get started, click on Extensions, Document Studio, and then select Open. And then after that, click Create Workflow, name the workflow, make sure you're on the correct worksheet, so Sheet 1, click Continue, and then you can process all rows or specific ones, that's up to you, Continue. And then there's different ways you could do this to automatically send out the QR code to the attendees, but I'll just use Gmail for now. And then I'll select it. And then just fill in the basics like the sender's name, etc. On this section here, send email to, you're going to select the email column because that's where all the emails are listed. Again, just fill in the basics. And then once you get to the email body section, that's where you'll insert your QR code that you'll send out. Well, it's a variable, but it'll generate the QR code for you automatically. So as you can see here, you can use curly brackets to reference column titles. So part of it's custom. You can have the email say whatever you want to, but I'll show you how to reference these column titles, and I'll show you how to generate that QR code. So for example, you could say hello, curly brackets, first name, because that's the name of the column here in Google Sheets. So it's going to reference first name, thus Antonio in this case, and then close it with 2 more curly brackets, and then you can have this say anything. Here's your QR code for the exhibition. Okay, to generate the QR code, what you'll do is you'll put 2 curly brackets like that, space, embed QR code, comma, space, 2 curly brackets, and then you're going to reference that barcode column. So my barcode column is named Barcode, so that's why I'm typing barcode in here, and then close it with 2 curly brackets, and that's it. That's how you do it. And then you can put a signature if you'd like, and that's it. Now what's going to happen is that this tool here is going to look at every single row. It's going to find the email address, send a QR code to them, and then mention their name in the email body. Okay, so I'll click done, and then click continue. And then you could run the workflow every hour. So if you have a Google Sheets integration and people are filling out the Orca form, if you want to learn more about the Orca form, go to the beginning part of this video and wait until I talk about gathering attendee data. But what you could do is you can create a live integration with Google Sheets and then run this workflow with Document Studio every hour, so that if somebody signs up to the event, to the exhibition, they'll receive a QR code automatically within an hour, and that way you don't have to manually run this tool. More information about our Google Sheets integration can be found under Docs. So just click up here on the top right corner for Docs, and then search for Google. And there it is. Okay. So I don't want to get sidetracked by that, but assuming you've imported your data here, just run this. So it processes all of the rows. Okay, and then click Run Workflow. And that's what's going to send the QR codes out automatically. All right, so that's done. So now if I go to my email, I'll see a QR code because it was sent to my inbox. And there it is. So now, as the attendee, I can walk up to the exhibitor and then load up that QR code and basically say, hey, here's my contact info. The exhibitor is going to scan that barcode, which I'll show you how to do momentarily. And then the exhibitor will have Antonio's contact info, for example, which is this: phone number, company name, etc. Now, they do have to scan that barcode via the Orca Scan app. Again, I'll show you that in a moment. But the exhibitor will have that data, that attendee data at the end of the event. Okay, so that's how you do it. That's how you automatically send barcodes to your attendees. So now the next part is setting up a sheet per exhibitor. Once you have all your data in here and you've sent out the QR codes to the attendees, you're ready to create a sheet per exhibitor so that the exhibitor can open the Orca Scan mobile app and scan barcodes for the attendees. All right, so the way to do that is to create a sheet per exhibitor. Now, you can create a sheet on the bottom left corner from scratch, but I'm going to show you the best way to set this up. So what you want to do is you want to create a template. This template is going to be distributed to all of your exhibitors, so that way they all have the same template, and it's going to include things like a notes column in case the exhibitor wants to leave a note for the attendee, just so they can review that information after the event and they don't forget. All right, so to do that, you're going to want to right-click on your master sheet and then select duplicate. And then you'll name this template, and you don't need to include anything here. Just click duplicate. And the reason why I did that is because, as you can see, the column names transferred over from the master sheet. And remember, the exhibitor sheets are going to pull data from the master sheet, and in order for that to work, the column names must match, at least the important ones. So all of these are important, so that's why I want those same exact columns to transfer over. And since I don't want to create it from scratch, I just duplicated the template. So that's why I did that. And then under integrations here, you can select master sheet. So that's very important. Again, under integrations, right below data sources, you'll select the master sheet. Make sure to click save. Again, that's very important because that's what allows the sheet, the exhibitor sheet, to pull data from the master sheet. Okay, so now that we're here, these are the fields that the exhibitor is going to see after they scan a barcode. So on the right-hand side, I'll open the Orca Scan mobile app, and then I'll navigate to this sheet here called a template. So to do that, just click on the sheet name at the top and navigate to that sheet if you're not already on it. And then I'm going to load the detail screen on the mobile app. So I can tap on the plus button to do that, or I can scan a barcode. But as you can see, there are the fields, and those fields are reflected as columns on the web app. So the web app and the mobile app mirror each other. So if I were to add a new column here, for example, I'll have this be a notes field. And then a data type is the functionality of the field. For example, do you want it to be a drop-down list? Do you want it to be a photo field, etc.? For your use case, text is probably going to be the most relevant option so that the exhibitor can type into this field. And then this is optional, so I'll just set the placeholder as optional. And remember, this template you're creating, we're going to duplicate it multiple times, once per exhibitor. So you want to make sure that you have a perfect template, okay? Because everyone's going to get this template if you do it this way, which is the faster way to do it. That way you don't create a sheet from scratch for each exhibitor. Okay, so I've added the column name, which is going to translate into a field on the mobile app. It's a text data type, so the exhibitors can type into it, and then the placeholder is optional. And then these toggles here dictate how the field behaves. For example, do you want to require it? Things of that sort. In this case, it's not relevant for the lead capture solution, so I'll just leave all of these off, and then I'll click Add. And then on the mobile app, I'll tap Cancel, and then refresh, since I just made an update to the sheet structure. So when I open that detail screen again, I can see the notes field up here. Now, I want to place it all the way at the bottom, so I'll just drag it on the web app, click and hold, and then drag it to the right-hand side. So now it's at the very bottom. Okay, and that's it. So basically what the exhibitor is going to do is scan a barcode, and then all the attendee information will auto-populate, and then they can leave a note there at the bottom. So for example, this attendee was very interested, or this attendee is interested in product B, or they're interested in financing X. So that's what the notes field is there for, and I believe that'll be helpful for you. And then, well, I like this template so far. We've added that column. We've activated the integration. Another thing you can do, this may or may not be relevant to you, but you could add a trigger. Triggers are if this, then that statements, so they have logic built into them. So you've probably used it in Excel already. So in this case, for example, what you might be doing, so if I go back to the master sheet, you might, for example, have a VIP column, and your values may look like this. So the default value may be no, but then there are probably a few people that do have a VIP status, right? So it'll look like this. And then if you go to the template, you can create a trigger. Okay, however, you want to make sure that column is there, and it'll just be empty. But basically, when the exhibitor scans a barcode and VIP equals yes, then the exhibitor should be notified. So, by the way, you can do other things. This is just one specific example. But to do this, just open up triggers, click Add, and then if this field, VIP, condition is equals. So if the condition is yes, then notify me via an in-app notification or an in-app dialog. I prefer that one. It forces the person scanning to acknowledge the message with a success, and the message is customizable. So I can say something like VIP status, and then whatever the message may be. Maybe give them a coupon. or whatever may be happening. And that's it. So now when the exhibitor scans a barcode, for example, for Sophia, they'll be alerted on the mobile app with a notification. So now that the template looks great, I've added a trigger, I've added that additional column, and then most importantly, under integrations, I've selected the master sheet as the data source. So now that the template looks perfect, I'm going to right click on it, select duplicate, and that's where I'll type in the name of the exhibitor. So maybe Apple is an exhibitor. You want to include triggers, because if that trigger that I created earlier is part of the sheet structure, part of the template, you want to include that. And then let's say Samsung is also at the event, they're an exhibitor. So I can either right click on Apple Sheet and select duplicate and create the template that way. Make sure to include triggers, right? Because both exhibitors or all exhibitors will use the same template. So that's why I can do that. Or I can just simply click on the template sheet again and then duplicate that one. Again, either one works. So duplicate, so this is for Samsung. I want to include the trigger because it's part of the sheet structure. And then after that, you can go to each sheet and then add the exhibitors. So maybe there's one person for the Apple table, or maybe there's two people. If there's two people, you'll type in their email addresses in here. So for example, Sammy@apple.com, and then Bob@apple.com, for example. And then once you do that, they'll automatically receive an email, hence the invite sent message. And what the message will look like is something like this. So I'll send an email to myself so you can see, but I'll click add. And then you can use these toggles here to give permission to the user if you want them to export. In this case, for the lead capture solution, the can export toggle is really the only one you want to turn on. Can delete is optional. Can admin is optional as well. Can admin just allows them to edit the structure of their sheet. So it's up to you, but really can export is the one that's mostly useful. Okay, so I'll click OK, and now the person will have received an email. So it'll look like this. It'll say your email address invited you to share Apple using Orca Scan. So then they would click join now. They'll create a password for their Orca Scan account, and then they'll load the Orca Scan mobile app, sign in, and they'll be able to scan from this sheet here. So only the people that you added on the sheet will be able to see data on that sheet. So Apple won't be able to see the list of attendees that Samsung scanned, for example. Just make sure you don't add the Apple employees here on this under this users menu. Okay, so you'll do the same thing for Samsung and then for every other exhibitor. So you'll have a sheet per exhibitor. And then that's it. And then once the person, the exhibitor gets signed in, they can begin scanning. So on the right-hand side here, I'll navigate to the Apple sheet, for example. And I had to navigate to it because I have multiple sheets. The exhibitor in this case will likely just have one sheet, so that'll be their only option there. But I do have some PDF guides that show the user what to do, how to download the app, what happens if they can't log in, what happens if they don't receive the email, for example. So I do have those resources. If you're interested in them, just drop us a message here, top right corner, and then just let us know you're interested in the lead capture PDFs. Again, they're just PDFs that show the exhibitor how to download the app, how to export their data after the event, etc. Okay, so you've created that perfect template, and then you've duplicated it per exhibitor, and then you went to the exhibitor sheets, added the users. So for example, there's 3 people here at the Apple exhibition desk. And then now the exhibitor has created their account. They're logged into the mobile app on their scanning device. So now they can just scan barcodes as the attendees come up to the table. Okay, so now I'll scan some attendee barcodes. Now I'm scanning them from my screen, but in the real world, you'll scan the attendee QR codes that you previously sent out. All right, so I'm gonna scan this person's barcode, for example. Once I do that, all their information comes up, and then I can leave a note. I can also tap Save and Close, and then that goes automatically into my sheet so that I can export it later. And then I can just keep doing that, basically. Leave a note if needed. And then on the scanner here, you have two tabs, Cloud and Local. The Local tab is a list of everything that you've scanned on that particular device. So think of it like a history tab, but for barcodes that you've scanned. And then the Cloud tab is a list of all of your barcodes on your sheet. So if I go to the Apple sheet, you'll see the two barcodes that I scanned, the two attendees that were interested in my products. So whether you're on the Local or Cloud tab, it doesn't matter. As long as the exhibitor scans the barcode, taps Save and Close, that attendee information will be automatically on their sheet. So no worries with that with the Cloud and Local tab. As long as they scan, tap Save and Close, they're good to go. It'll be on their sheet after the event. So that's how it's done. You've created a sheet per exhibitor. Now the exhibitor can scan barcodes, and then they can capture the attendee information, and then they can export it after the event. So there's another person. Now it's going to show up on the Apple sheets. It won't show up anywhere else, just on the Apple sheet. And then after the event, they can just click Export here, and then they'll have that in Excel format. So they can reach out to these people, or they can do it from the mobile app, from the Local tab. But the problem with that is that they'll only export the barcodes that they've scanned, so only 3. And remember, there's multiple people on this sheet, so maybe Bob scanned different barcodes. So they want to make sure that they're exporting from the web app. Again, I have a PDF file for this. If you're interested, just let us know, okay? All right, so that's how you do it. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any questions, drop us a message here under the support chat. We'd be happy to help. Maybe you're in a tricky spot. Maybe you're stuck with something. We can always hop on a technical support call as well. To do that, just visit our website, click Book a Demo, and then select Technical Support. We're here to help, so just let us know if you need any assistance. And then lastly, we have documents here. So just click on the Docs button and you'll see all of our documents if you think that's better. But anyways, until then, have a great day and let us know if any questions come up. Bye-bye.